good story to have by fire, don't you think? Because fire is good for cooking, good for lighting, good for warming, and good for making friends. You know, but long ago, the other animals watched how dog became a friend of man. They watched dog be welcomed into the homes of the people. They watched how the people would give dog scraps from their tables. How the children would play with dogs, and how dogs had the privilege of lying by the fire to be warm. And the other animals watched this, and some of those animals thought, that looks like a good thing. That looks like a good friendship. Have you ever felt that way? You watched a couple people who were good friends, and you thought, gee, I'd like to have a friend like that. And that's what these animals thought. They thought, wouldn't it be good if people liked us the way that they like dogs? Let's go and be their friends. And so these animals came up to the people, hoping the people would see them and love them and befriend them. The only problem was, these animals happened to be snakes. It was all the snakes, you see. They wanted to be friends with the people, so all of the snakes came up to the people, hoping the people would see them and love them and befriend them. But you know what people did? When they saw all those snakes, ew, hit them with a broom, smush them, kill them, yuck! Why, they beat the snakes and sent the snakes away. And the snakes said, wah! People don't like us. Why? Then the snake started thinking, maybe we're not pretty enough for people. Snakes noticed how people come in all different colors. And they thought, well, we should come in different colors too. So all the snakes got many colorful paints. And they all began to paint themselves pretty colors, hoping that people would love them if they were prettily painted. Some snakes made themselves bright green. Some snakes made themselves deep indigo. Some snakes painted many different colored rings along the lengths of their bodies, and yet other snakes painted pretty diamond patterns down their backs. And when these snakes had painted themselves in these many pretty ways, they came again to the people, hoping the people would see and love these prettily painted snakes. But you know what people did when they saw all those snakes? Ew! Hit them with a broom, smush and kill them. Yuck! Well, again they beat the snakes and sent the snakes away, and again the snakes said, wah! People don't like us. Why? Then the snakes thought, maybe we're not fashionable enough for people. I mean, they notice how people are always changing their clothes, and how they're always wearing ribbons and bows and ties and hoods and things like that to dress themselves up with. Snakes thought, we need those things too. So every snake gave themselves many changes of skin to wear. And some snakes made themselves long and fat, and some snakes made themselves short and thin. Some snakes gave themselves musical rattles to shake, and other snakes gave themselves broad hoods to wear about their heads. And when the snakes had finished dressing themselves up in these many fashionable ways, they came again to the people, hoping the people would see them now and love them now and make friends with them now, and to be sure that people saw them and loved them, snakes went everywhere people might wander. Snakes went into the grass. Snakes went into the waters. Snakes went up into trees. Snakes went under rocks and logs. Some snakes were so bold as to drape themselves from the rafters of barns and stables. And other snakes even stretched themselves out across the sunny footpaths that the people walked upon, hoping that people would be sure to see them and therefore love them. But you know what people did when they saw all those snakes? Ew! Hit it with a broom, smush him, kill him! Yuck! Again they beat the snakes. Again they sent the snakes away. Again the snakes said, wah! People don't like us. Why? Now at this point, as you can understand, some of the snakes said, if people don't like us the way that we are, we no longer want their friendship. And those snakes remain the way they were and are still that way to this day. But other snakes said, no, it may be that if you want someone's friendship, you must make an effort to understand them. And those snakes went back to the people. They did not go to impress or frighten or surprise the people. They went to try to understand the people, to find out why people don't like snakes. And they heard people talking about snakes, saying things like, "Oh, my goodness, I just saw a snake and I've got to stop for a moment and catch my breath because I don't like snakes." No, I don't like snakes. You know why I don't like snakes? Well, I'll tell you even if you don't want to know. I don't like snakes because they got that slimy, scaly skin all over their body. Woo! Makes my skin crawl just to think about it. It's not natural. No. I mean to tell you, other animals have got shell or fur or feathers or things like that to cover themselves up with, but not snakes. They go crawling around on their bellies all naked. It's indecent.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a thing or two about them snakes there, because I don't like them snakes neither, because I don't like them snakes there, because you know why? I don't like them because they got them venomous fangs there sticking out of their mouth like that right there. Now, I mean to tell you, you're walking along, a snake, he comes up and he bites you with them fangs, then you swell up and die. That's not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, snakes and everything because, you know, and stuff like that and all that and everything because, you know, and I don't like a snake either because, you know, why? I don't like a snake because they got a forked tongue in their mouth. It's so pointy and owy looking, and they're always sticking it out at you going, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." And my mommy told me you're not supposed to stick out your tongue because that's rude. Yeah, actually, the problem with a snake is quite simply this. Snakes haven't got any ears. So naturally, walking upon a path, you come upon a snake. The snake is startled and it bites you. It didn't hear you coming. Now, I think snakes need to have ears. Oh, no! That's not the problem with the snake. The problem with the snake is that they're just a long tail, and all they ever do is wiggle around. I mean, other animals have got arms and legs and wings and things like that. Snakes eat those things too. Well, suddenly, the snakes knew why people did not like them. And oh, my friends, it is hard to hear. But knowing now what people did not like about them, these snakes had a choice. They could change if they wished to befriend the people, and indeed they did. They remembered that people didn't like that smooth, scaly skin. So they covered themselves over with soft, warm fur. And there they were, long, furry tails. But people didn't like the fact that they were just all tail, so they made for themselves sturdy legs to stand upon. 4 sturdy legs, and there they were, long, furry tails on legs. People wanted them to have ears, so they fashioned for themselves pointy little ears to wear on either side of their flat, snaky heads. People didn't like the venom that was in their fangs, so they took that poison out. People didn't like their forked tongue, so they fused it together into a round, fat, lovable tongue. And when they had finished disguising themselves in these many ways, the snakes came again to the people, hoping perhaps now people would see them and love them. And you know what people did when they saw all those? Look! It's a pretty little kitty cat. Meow, meow. And you know, to this day, the cat is one of the best loved pets among people, right alongside dogs. And to this day, few folks stop to notice how it is that cats, like snakes, still have their long tails wiggling and writhing around. How it is that cats, like snakes, love to stretch out in the warm sun and to drink milk and to catch mice. Few people stop to notice how cats, like snakes, will still be heard to hiss when they're angry. And still, they are constantly sticking out their tongues. But if you gently take a cat in your arms and you tenderly pin back his ears and stretch back his fur, you can still see the flat, snaky head and the glowing serpent eyes of a snake in disguise.